Alright, so this is your homework for the transformations of the quadratics using Vertex form. And I'll do about half of it. And I'm out of paint markers for my glass, so that's why I'm doing it on this platform right here. Alright, so number 2 is something that would bug a lot of kids because it's, the form you're learning, or you learned in class, is a parentheses x minus h, quantity squared plus k. So I don't care how smart you are. If you don't see I need to see what's being written. Let me make that clear. You don't just write an answer down. The form you're given could be written just like this if we did x minus 0 quantity squared. Because x minus 0 is exactly the same thing as x, right? And then minus 4. I needed that so I could do the lineup process for h and k. I have a vertex at 0, negative 4, and don't be the kid who writes negative 0. 0 has no sign, it never has, and it never will. It's literally nothing. So the vertex is at 0, negative 4. The a value is negative 2, and think of that as initial slope, okay? And let's talk about the transformations that are present. I've got enough now that I can talk about those. Because a is negative, we have a vertical reflection. Because a is 2, we have a vertical stretch. And the last one is because k is negative 4, we have a horizontal, and I'll use the word translation, of down 4. There is no, it's not horizontal. Vertical, I wish I was perfect. I didn't make mistakes, but I do. There is no horizontal translation. There's nothing going left to right because the h value is 0. K handles the vertical. I need to come up with a good word for k that stick. I guess I need to look up some stuff. I'll try to figure something out. Anywho, I have enough information to graph it. It does not ask for you to graph the mother function. By the way, as we do this video, remember that mom is y equals x squared. That's what mom is. And mom has the 3 key points, 0, 0, 1, 1, and negative 1, positive 1, and she is what we call a parabola. She's a parabola. Alright, so the kids happen to be parabolas. Anyways, we have a vertex at 0, negative 4. About right there. My initial slope is to fall 2 units and run left and right 1 because I am trying to draw a parabola. So I have to go both left and right. Kick in the curvature. This does not need to be a V. It doesn't look like the V. It needs to look like an upside down U. And again, that's a parabola. And I guess it's not on here, it didn't make the cut here or something, but you're also supposed to talk about the domain. Now do remember that domain is inherited. I feel like I'm missing a letter there, but it's inherited from mom. And mom's domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. Domain is always an inherited concept. So the domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. The range is somewhat inherited to some degree. Mom has an infinity symbol in her range. The child has an infinity symbol in its range. That's it, because it could be positive, it could be negative. This particular one is falling forever, but think of it this way, the low y value is negative infinity, and it rises to a high y value of negative 4. So negative infinity up to negative 4 with a bracket. Because I think it's a big deal, I'm also going to write down the set builder notation. All values of y such that y is less than or equal to negative 4. And there you go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Alright, let's do one with a fraction. So number 4 is going to be the next one I do. Type out some of this for y'all, make it a little easier to read. It's kind of hard for me to write properly in the first place. I'm too impatient for it. And secondly, on that writing pad, I struggle with it. So I see that A is 1/2, and it is positive. Okay, this tells me I have a vertical compression. What else do I see? Let's go ahead and put the line-up process here. A parentheses x minus h quantity squared plus k. So I see that h is not 3, it's -3. Always opposite when you leave those parentheses. This tells me I have a horizontal, we'll use shift this time, of left 3. I see that k is -5, again according to the lineup process up here. This tells me that I have a vertical shift of down 5. That's really as hard as this is. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and state my domain and range. Domain is inherited. I don't have a graph. I don't need a graph. I know mom's domain. Mom's domain is -infinity to positive infinity. Therefore, I know that the kid's domain is also -infinity to, guess what, positive infinity. It's doing this glitch again. There we go. That's the domain. Now, the A value is 1/2. Okay? Now, I'm going to write this out. This does not mean rise 1, run 2. It means rise 1/2 and run 1. Because the A here is initial slope, which means it only talks about covering 1 block left and 1 block right. That's a hard pill for kids to swallow, because your whole life it's meant rise 1, run 2. But that's when you were talking about things that were straight, like a line, or even absolute value. It worked for absolute value. It does not work for items that have curvature. So remember that. Your vertex is going to be h and k, and it's going to be -3, -5. And that's more than enough information to graph. And we'll look at the graph and we just discuss range. I can tell you what the range is right now, but guess what I'm doing in my head? I am picturing the graph. You can be good at algebra, but if you want to be great at mathematics, you have to comprehend graphs. Now, I don't know if you want to be great at mathematics. I don't know if that means anything to you. It's not like you get a prize or anything. But math clicks for some, and for some people it clicketh not. Anyways, I got a vertex, left 3, down 5. Of course, I know I've got plenty of kids this year who struggle with just plotting points. I have no idea why the state of Tennessee puts you in Algebra 2, to be quite honest with you. But they do. And I'm freehand graphing, so it's going to kind of be hard to go up 1/2 and over 1. But that's the deal. I go up 1/2 and over 1. I didn't go up a whole unit, I went up 1/2 unit. And this parabola is going to be a little bit wider. And that's it, man. That's it. Now that I have the graph, I can think about my range. Remember range, and I know range is something for some kids, but it's your y values. And your low y value is right here, which happened to be that guy right there. This guy is always involved in the range. It's either the low number or the high number, and here it happens to be the low number. So it's -5 all the way to infinity because it rises on either side of the parabola to infinity. Half done. 6 looks fun. 5 actually looks kind of fun. They're both about the same. One of these needs to be asked tomorrow. I'm going to do 6. Somebody should be asking how to do 5 tomorrow. If not, you are using a Goth app, you're leaving it blank, or you're cheating. Somebody should probably be asking about 5. Anyway, I'm going to do 6, and I notice that 6 is not in the right form because I only have a singular x in my form. So we're going to FAFO. We're going to factor and find out. And it's a little different here. We're going to pull the -2 from both terms. If you pull a -2 from a -2x, you have an x left. And if you pull a negative from a positive, you have a negative. So that becomes -4. And notice how I'm doing the parentheses? I'm still keeping all of that squared. Every bit of that is staying squared. Because I can't actually pull this number out front unless I figure out what it is, because it's still got to be squared. Now, we're going to do a distribution of the exponent to both pieces, okay? So I need to know what a -2 squared is. And I know, and I hope that you know, that a negative times a negative is a positive, and 2 times 2 is 4. So next line here, we have a half. We've discovered that was 4. So we're going to leave x minus 4 squared alone. We're not going to do anything with it because if we did, we wouldn't have the form we're after. And then we still have this plus 2 on the outside. And now we're just going to simplify a little more. Half of 4 is 2. So here's what the final equation looks like. And I am sure that there are a handful of you, I probably got, looking at what I'm seeing, about 10 juniors this year who can do most of that in your head. Cool, whatever. Don't care what your name is. Don't care who your parents are. Don't care what you look like. You show me the algebra. You know, I was in college before I truly comprehended how important writing things down was. And that was a hard skill I had to learn then. So me making you write now is part of making you not realize later on how important it was. Learning how to write's a big deal. Alright, so let's talk about A. A is 2. My vertex is going to be opposite and keep, so at 4, 2. My domain, that's one of those we know by default, negative infinity to infinity. And I'll type out the transformations for you so you don't have to interpret my handwriting. I know how it is. I really do. You can complain about it. You won't be the first, you won't be the last. So since A is 2, we have a vertical stretch with a factor of 2. Alright, since H is 4, we have a horizontal translation, right 4. Notice that that's opposite of the sign inside. And since K is 2, we have a vertical translation or shift, whatever word you like, of up 2 units. And that is enough information for me to graph. I've got an initial slope. Remember again that this is initial slope. It does not hold over the course of the graph. It only works one block left, one block right. That's all it's good for. And let's see, what were we doing? We had to go right 4 and up 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. There we go. And then we're going to rise 2 units and run left 1. We're going to rise 2 units and we're going to run right 1. You know, there's more to this lesson. I'm just not throwing everything at you at once. There's something called the axis of symmetry, which is at x equals 4. And there's other little things that will be talked about at a later date. This is getting the stuff in your head now because of how important it is. Range, again, we talk about the low y value to the high y value. The low y value is at 2, and the high y value is rising to infinity on either side of the parabola. Again, remember, parabola. You know, don't be the kid who doesn't understand the words they say in class. Just don't be that kid. And the last one I'm going to do, I feel like I want it to be number 8 because of 8's little issue right there, and that's a big deal. It really is. Alright, so let's identify some stuff here. A is negative 2/3. Now what does that mean? That means we fall 2/3 and run 1. We don't fall 2 and run 3. We fall 2/3 and run 1. And if you still haven't quite caught on to the form, I'm just going to write it above there, plus k. A times x minus h. It should say quantity squared plus k. Your vertex would be at hk. You know, it really doesn't matter how many of these I show you. You're going to have to sit down and do it. You know, don't be the kid who just does what I do in a video and stops. You didn't learn anything. You're not even being obedient because you didn't even try the rest of it. Change sign, keep sign, 2, 6. There's your vertex. Transformations. I know that A is negative. Therefore, we have a vertical reflection. We are flipped upside down. I know that H is 2. H literally for horizontal. It's opposite sign. H is 2. We have translated right 2. I know that K is 6. K is the vertical. We have translated or shifted. I'm going to use the word shift. We have shifted up 6 units. The domain, I also know, it is negative infinity to positive infinity. There are so many little things that you should know through memorization. Memorization being the foundation of all learning. If anybody ever told you that memorization was not important, we should beat them. Memorization is critical. So please don't be telling people memorization is not important. Understanding is important too, but understanding is not really there until you memorize. Anywho, what do we got here? We got a right 2 and we got an up 6. Puts us about right there. And then we're supposed to fall 2/3. Now, you know, that's going to be hard to do on this thing. That's mostly falling 1 unit, right? That's what it is. So fall 2/3 and run right 1. Fall 2/3 and run left 1. And you've got a fairly wide parabola. And I know it may not seem like it is, and I don't know why I didn't put it in the instruction set, but if I would have had you graph mom, that would have been mom. She would have been narrower. This one is wider, and that's what it was intended to be. Range, again, values of y, read from the lowest value to the highest value. And the lowest value is negative infinity, and the highest value is 6 with a bracket. And just because I haven't done it in a while, all values of x such that x is an element of the real. This one would be all values of y such that y is less than or equal to 6. And there you go. There is half of your homework. I reckon you're welcome. Hopefully you can do the other half. If not, bug Milbrath when we start up class, right?